It's a very critical moment for us as a country, for our president to visit the EU. There are several things that are happening. He comes at the time when there is war in the Ukraine. Many of you know that this war has caused many problems to Africa because much of our imports, especially wheat, used to come from Ukraine and Russia. So the president, by coming here at this time, is critical in the sense that we are also discussing to Europeans to consider working with us, especially in northern Kenya, to produce wheat, meaning that the period under which Ukraine is going through this chaos, we can be able to feed Kenyans, leveraging the resources we have in northern Kenya. This is not just a dream. This is something that has come as a result of studies, research, which has been conducted by universities of Nairobi Technical University and the University of Antwerp, discovering that areas like Marsabit are very fertile to grow such crops as wheat. And by so doing, we can now begin to develop new value chains. Anytime we have a drought in northern Kenya, a lot of cows or livestock for our people in northern Kenya dies. If we grow wheat, it means you can produce fodder to feed the cattle and be able to develop a new value chain. One of the biggest problems that we have, especially in growing the poultry sector, is because we don't have surplus grain. If we are able to grow in large swaths of land in northern Kenya, we can have surplus grain, which would create another value chain of poultry. Poultry is a major product globally because Africa imports most of its poultry consumption. So he comes at a very critical time when we can be able to look into our economy and be able to take advantage of what is happening at this time. We have facilities under the EU. One of the facilities is food security, which is a major item in Kenya's development. We've been talking about food security for some time. EU started to augment those countries that are working towards food security. And under this, they call it neighborhood project. In short, we call it Indiki. They have 4 billion, which goes towards stabilizing food security, especially in the OECPS countries, which Africa belongs to. Under that, we could get some funding towards stabilization of food security in Africa. There is what we call a global gateway, which the EU is advancing. We have already benefited from the Malindi, Mombasa dual carriage through the funding of the global gateway. And we are going to see even more benefit because they are looking at developing Mombasa-Katanga road, which will cut through Kenya. So there is a lot of benefits for His Excellency to visit here at this time. When you talk about the EU, you are not just talking about Belgium. When you meet the president of the council, he is the president of all the presidents within the European Union. And with that, you have the opportunity now to move into any country from the center to several other countries and discuss other collaborative efforts that Kenya may be having. The president is also going to see the president of the Commission, which is the executive arm of the entire European Union. Here again, the resources they have put aside, we can take advantage to improve our economy. When you talk about the EU, you are not just talking about Belgium. When you meet the president of the council, he is the president of all the presidents within the European Union. And with that, you have the opportunity now to move into any country from the center to several other countries and discuss other collaborative efforts that Kenya may be having. The president is also going to see the president of the Commission, which is the executive arm of the entire European Union. here again, the resources they have put aside, we can take advantage to improve our economy. We have started collaborating, and we have negotiated for one company called Unisma, for example, to begin the production of vaccines in Kenya. Number two, to produce insulin. There is only one country in Africa which produces insulin. Insulin is a major drug which we need to cut the price that many people who are suffering from diabetes to be able to afford. This company would start production of insulin in Kenya and also doing the production of new cancer drugs. This is a biotech company, which is a different method of looking at how to treat diseases, because Kenya developed biofax, for example, to be able to produce such medications. But because we have signed up for knowledge transfer from this company, we would be able to grow both Unisma and biofax to be able to serve not just Kenya, but the entire continent of Africa. There is a misconception that because the major languages here are mostly Dutch and French and Germany, that people can't come for schooling here. Many of the top universities here provide scholarships for graduate programs which are taught in English, and there are so many Kenyans who are doing studies here. We would want to see more Kenyans take advantage of this because the language of instruction is in English. There are many applied sciences universities which have been very critical in the development of not just Belgium, but Germany too. This is where we need to develop so that we begin to see more industrialization in the country, which is very critical. Actually, this is one other aspect that you're going to see a lot more industries doing production in Kenya because of the collaborations that we are building between Belgium and Kenya. If we execute what we intend to do, it will transform our economy. As I said, not just food security, but it would open up several other value chains which are held back because we don't have sufficient food production